The first sign of the end was a whisper of silence. For Ilara, chief horologist of the Athelian Empire, it was a thunderclap. She stood frozen in the heart of the spire, her hand resting on the cool, pulsating brass of the great water clock, and heard it, the missing tick. The rhythm that had governed every breath of the empire for 3 centuries had faltered. A moment later, chaos answered. Beyond the arched windows, a discordant symphony began. In the city below, irrigation sluice gates, starved of their timed signal, remained shut. In the palace, the harmonic locks on the treasury doors clicked open and shut in a frantic random dance. The empire was a body, and its heart had just skipped a beat. The doors to the chamber burst open. Captain Valerius of the Mechanical Guard, a man carved from oak and duty, filled the doorway. His polished steel armor, usually silent, grated with the urgency of his movement. "Ilara, report." "The main escapement," Ilara said, her voice tight as a wound spring. "It's jammed. Not by where, by this." She held up a sliver of metal, no longer than a fingernail, etched with unnatural precision. "It's a jamming pin. Sabotage." Valerius's face hardened. The regent assembles the court. He believes it's an act of war. "It's an act of politics," a softer voice interjected. Kale, the court poet, slipped into the room like a shadow. His eyes, the color of a winter sky, scanned the frozen gears and the stagnant pool in the central basin. "War is merely its loudest instrument. The regent is old, his heir is untested. The military faction hungers. The merchant guilds chafe under timed trade tariffs. This is the perfect moment to create a vacuum." Valerius scowled. "Your metaphors won't find the culprit, poet." "No," Kale agreed, running a finger along a motionless gear. "But they frame the question. Who benefits from chaos? Not the man in power, the man who wishes to be." In the throne room, tension was a thick fog. The regent, pallid and trembling, sat flanked by his hawk-faced general and the opulently robed head of the merchant guild. Accusations flew like arrows. "The Aquarian League," the general boomed. "They've always coveted our hydraulic secrets. This is a prelude to invasion." "Nonsense," the merchant guildmaster countered, his rings flashing. "Your own mechanical guard has failed in its duty. Perhaps they seek to prove their indispensability, or that of their captain." Ilara felt the trap closing. Her life's work was the clock. Valerius's was its protection. They were the prime suspects. "We have 48 hours, Valerius muttered to them in a secluded alcove. "After that, the irrigation cycles for the western farmlands will fail completely. The granaries will be empty in a month. The city will starve." "The saboteur is here," Kale murmured, watching the court. "They didn't just stop the clock. They planted a seed of discord, and now they watch it grow, waiting to see which faction withers and which thrives." Their investigation was a race against the silent gears. Ilara, with her intimate knowledge, worked to bypass the jam, her fingers tracing the clock's anatomy like a surgeon. Valerius provided security, his presence a bulwark against the suspicious glares of the court. And Kale? Kale listened. He listened to the general's bluster about strength and preemptive strikes. He listened to the merchants' complaints about lost revenue. He watched their eyes, their tells. Ilara discovered a second, more subtle sabotage, a hairline crack in a primary drive gear, designed to shatter upon restart. They didn't just want to stop it, she realized, horror dawning. They wanted to destroy it forever when we tried to fix it, to make the collapse absolute. Valerius, investigating the access logs, found a discrepancy. The general's personal aide accessed the spire last night on orders he claims came from the regent's chamber, orders that don't exist. The evidence pointed squarely at the military faction. Valerius mobilized his guard. It was the obvious answer, the clean answer. As he prepared to make the arrest, Kale placed a hand on his arm. "Too obvious, Captain," the poet said softly. "A man who plans a coup does not leave a trail of breadcrumbs. He leaves a trail leading to his rival's door." He turned to Ilara. "The jamming pin. You said it was etched with precision. Show me." In the lamplight of the spire, Kale examined the metal sliver. "This isn't military work. Their etchers are functional, brutal. This is artistry. Look at the spiral pattern. It's the same as the filigree on the guildmaster's new ceremonial chain of office." The truth clicked into place with the finality of a locking gear. The Merchant Guild. They didn't want war. They wanted a crisis that would discredit both the regent and the military, leaving a power vacuum for a new, pragmatic leadership, their own. The guildmaster himself had overseen the fortification of the spire's decorative metalwork months ago. He had planted the tool and the blame simultaneously. They found the guildmaster not in his chambers, but back in the throne room, standing over the terrified regent, offering a solution, a temporary guild-controlled timing mechanism to restore order, for a price. Total control over the empire's trade schedules. "The chaos ends when you sign this, Your Grace," the guildmaster said, his voice slick and reassuring. "The chaos ends now," Ilara announced, stepping into the room. She held up the jamming pin. "We found the artist. Your etcher does excellent work. He's already confessed to making this for you." The guildmaster's composure cracked. "Lies! The military!" "Was your pawn," Kale finished. "You counted on their predictable aggression to hide your own subtle greed. You sought to trade the empire's rhythm for your own profit." Valerius didn't wait for the order. A flick of his wrist and 2 of his guards had the sputtering guildmaster in custody. In the silence that followed, Ilara looked at the frozen clock and then at her 2 unlikely allies, the soldier and the poet, strength and insight. They were all gears in a larger mechanism. Back in the spire, with the jamming pin removed and the cracked gear identified, Ilara took a deep breath. She placed her hand on the master lever. Time to restart the heart. She pushed. For a terrifying second, nothing. Then a deep, resonant click echoed through the chamber. A single drop of water fell, striking a copper plate. Then another. The great pendulum swung. Gears, frozen in time, began to turn. The rhythm of Aethel was restored. The harmonious chime of the treasury locks resealing echoed from the palace. In the distance, they heard the cheer as the irrigation sluices groaned open. Captain Valerius stood straighter, the weight of crisis lifting from his shoulders. Kale watched the flowing water, a faint smile on his lips. "It's not perfect," Ilara said, her ear tuned to the machine's song. "There's a new vibration, a consequence of the damage." Kale nodded. Perhaps perfection was the flaw. A rhythm that never changes cannot adapt. The Empire has learned a new beat today, one of vigilance, of alliance. He glanced from the soldier to the horologist, of trust. Ilara listened to the great clock, its rhythm once again the pulse of the Empire. It was not the same as before. It was stronger, wiser, its ticks and tocks now carrying the memory of the silence they had overcome.